one hand and the intellectual and spiritual on the other. The decay of ancient civilization, page 4. The cities which had created and sustained the higher forms of economic life in Rome gradually decayed. The majority of them practically disappeared from the face of the earth. Why did Rome fall? I've been studying this very heavy the past 2 months. Here are the reasons, 5 reasons Rome fell. These are historians writing this. Number 1, the middle class was squeezed out of existence because of taxes. Number 2, by the 2nd centuries, many cities had spent themselves into such debt that they couldn't afford to pay their debts back. Number 3, the cost of repairing roads and bridges and public works increased, and more tax money had to be raised to take care of the roads and bridges. Number 4, the taxes were raised on the rich till it became unbearable to even be rich, and so the rich left the Roman Federation, went to new lands. The new government, listen to this, the Roman government was continually creating bureaucratic offices to increase the government's power so they could control the people. Now here's what happened. I want everybody to clean your ears out and listen to me about the Roman Empire. Taxes became so high because the debt of Rome became so high, and the Roman government could not pay the debt back. They raised taxes on everything. Listen to this. They even raised taxes to go to the bathroom. A public restroom, you had to give a coin for a man, I'm not being crude, to stand at a urinal to ease himself. That's how crazy it got. What happened was this. Doles, D-O-L-E-S, were developed. Doles was the first welfare system. It was developed by the Roman Empire. Taxes became so high, I want you to listen, that people soon discovered that you could quit your job and live off the government and make more money that way than working. Preach on, I'm going to. It got so bad, I was reading a book, War and Peace Cycles. It got so bad in Rome, with the people that had money having to pay taxes to pay for everybody who wasn't working, ready? That the people that had jobs started quitting their jobs to live off the government. Now I'm going to explain something to you in a revelation. Ready? Why would a government want to put everybody to depend on them for money? Here's why. Because once 51% of the people have to have the government money, they will always keep that party in power to make sure they get it. Does that make sense? Eventually Rome took over the land, the houses. They limited the food that you could eat, and foreigners eventually took over the country, oh my, and began to own it. You don't want me to talk about the Chinese buying property in Nevada. You don't want me to talk about the foreigners that are taking over our businesses. I'll just leave that out to be nice. But let us talk about something right now that I think you'll find very significant. The next 2 things you'll find significant, and let's go there. As I have been watching the healthcare debate, you have to agree with me, premiums are high for good insurance, and they keep going up. I don't mind telling you this. We pay 100% for our full-time workers. But I have people, there's a board member, and I'm not saying this to embarrass anyone here, because no one knows what we pay except the bookkeeper, me and my wife. But I have workers that make a good wage, but it costs $1,200 a month for one person's insurance. Now, it covers everything, but it's expensive. How many know what I'm saying? So there has to be something done. I do not deny that. We all agree to that. But here's what I don't understand. Why are they so adamant to shove it quick? What is going to happen that they think they've got to get it through by the end of this year? Now, if I'm president and I'm going to be there till 2012, I would take my time with the debt and the bailouts and everything else, and I would say, now guys, look, let's call the insurance companies in, let's work on this, let's see where there's ways, and just you do it by process. But I've never seen them trying to shove it. Now, I'm going to take you back to 3 stories. I know this for a fact. When Claude Bowers had me on Channel 55 in the 90s, I had with me something that was encased in glass. It's actually plastic. And it was a small chip, the size of a grain of rice, with a small lithium battery in it, that a company was putting it in pets to track them in case they were lost. Great idea, I'll admit it. And I said, now keep your eye on this kind of technology. That was in the early 1990s. In the mid-90s, I was preaching, and I'm going to be careful because this is being taped, in a neighboring state. And a lady said to me, there's a man I know that you must meet. He doesn't go to church, he's not a Christian, but he's a genius. This man did something that only 3 people in the world did. He had an ability only 3 people had. I go to his house in the middle of nowhere. He's a ham operator. We began to talk. He has computers in his house, and he's talking to the space shuttle. I said, you can talk to them. He said, come in here. And he just hits this thing. He said, see them moving right there. I said, what? He said, I got the dishes out here. He said, I'm linked up with, he named who he was linked up with. He got on there and started talking, what's going on, guys? Well, we're doing pretty good. What's going on with you? He's talking to the guys on the shuttle. Then he turns to me after we quits talking. He said, you know what they've got on that space shuttle right now? And I said, no. He said, a chip that will one day be implanted in your right hand or the top of your forehead or your hairline. I said, on the space shuttle? He said, yeah, they're testing it right now. Now, I'm looking at this guy and I'm saying, do you go to church? Nah, I don't go to church. He said, I'm not against it. I just don't go. And I said, do you know what the book of Revelation teaches about that? And I told him. He said, well, ain't that something? It went right over his head. Kind of like, hey, this is great. So I said, tell me how this works. He said, it'll have a battery in it that the body heat from your hand charges the battery. And the reason, right up here at the top of the forehead, right at the hairline, he said, because he said, when you have a temperature, you get it here in the back of the neck. So he says, I said, so you're really telling me? He said, listen, man, I know what's going on. He said, there'll be a day there'll be no cash. You'll buy and sell with that thing. I kind of kept that to myself. Only a few people have heard me tell that publicly. But then, this year, I received information. And I used to tell people, you know, I'm one, I want you to know where it came from, but I have learned